from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A very good evening to you and a warm welcome to the news live from the National News Studios. I'm Sharifah Tahir.
And I'm Prashant De Silva. We begin with a look at the headlines. The Committee on Public Finance approves the proposal on local debt optimization. New proposal to solve the problems of estate workers. US Ambassador appreciates the service of national television. The subject minister says that it is unfair to waste tax money to maintain Sri Lankan Airlines. Riots against French police heightened.
We move on to those and other stories in detail now, taking a look at local news first. The proposal of local debt optimization was approved by the Committee on Public Finance with the consent of the majority. Accordingly, it is to be passed in Parliament tomorrow. The Committee on Public Finance convened for the second day today under the patronage of parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva. After lengthy discussions, the committee gave its approval to submit the proposal to the Parliament subjected to amendments. A discussion was held on local debt optimization with the participation of Governor of the Central Bank, Secretary to the Treasury and other relevant top officials of the Committee on Public Finance yesterday. Parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva said that the committee discussed at length regarding this proposal. At the voting, all government parliamentarians voted for the proposal. All members of the opposition voted against. Me, as a chairman of the committee, abstained from voting. Accordingly, this will be debated in Parliament tomorrow. If the proposal is passed tomorrow, it will be presented to the EPF, ETF and other relevant bodies on the 4th of July. They have 21 days to discuss this and to come to a conclusion.
උනෝතෙන් 4 වෙනිදා මේ යෝජනාව ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා අර්ථසාධකාර මුදලට ETF එකට සහ අනිත් ෆන්ඩ්ස් වලට. ඒගොල්ලන්ට දින 21ක් තියෙනවා මේක සාකච්ඡා කරලා තීරණයක් කරන්න මේ වැඩපිළිවෙලත් සමග ඉදිරියට යනවද නැද්ද කියලා. එකඟ වුණොත් දිගටම ඒගොල්ලන්ට 114ක බද්දක් තමයි වදින්නේ. එකඟ වුණේ නැත්නම් ඒ බද්ද 130ට වැඩි කරනවා කියන එක තමයි මේ යෝජනාවලිය සඳහන් වෙන්නේ. එතකොට අර්ථසාධකාර මුදලට ETF එකට 25 වෙනිදා වෙනකන්
Meanwhile, the Committee on Parliamentary Business decided to debate the proposal on local debt optimization tomorrow. The relevant proposal is to be debated from 9:30 am to 7:30 pm tomorrow. If a vote is requested, it will be held at 7:30 pm. State Minister Shehan Singh said that the proposal was brought in a manner not to cause any harm to the banking system, depositors and the EPF. This is the best solution the government can afford to the economic crisis. If the opposition work for the well-being of the country, they should vote for the proposal tomorrow.
The Public Utilities Commission has given its approval to reduce electricity tariffs by 14.2% with effect from tomorrow. The Public Utilities Commission says that new electricity charges will be effective from tomorrow to the 31st of December this year. In a communique issued by the Commission says that the Electricity Board has given its approval for the proposed charges. According to the new system of charges, there is a 65% reduction of charges for the consumer category up to 30 units. The reduction of charges for the category from 31st to 60 units is 51.5%. A reduction of 24.5% is applicable to the customers category from 61 to 90 units. The tariff reduction for the hotel sector is 26.3%, while the industrial sector will enjoy a 9% reduction. The charges for business buildings is 5%. Religious places have been given a relief of 16% under the new tariff system. The tariff reduction for the government institutions is 0.8%. The Public Utilities Commission has informed the Ceylon Electricity Board and LICO Company to take measures to confirm whether the bills for families living in housing schemes to be prepared according to their monthly consumption.
State Minister of Finance Shehan Semasinga says that there will be no harm caused to any account of the bank depositors due to the government's proposal of local debt optimization. He points out that any other stakeholders will not be affected as well. State Minister of Finance Shehan Semasinga said that there are 57 million accounts in the local banking system. No negative influence is caused to these accounts by the local debt optimization. Their interest rates will be changed. ETF also will not be affected. Investors who invested their money on treasury bills and sovereign bonds will also be safe. Therefore, the government is confident that this proposal is a timely solution for the economic crisis. No party will be affected within the process of local debt optimization. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Singh Balapatiya said that the country has received $700 million from the World Bank. Out of the amount, $500 million will be given as budgetary support. Another $200 million are used as relief to vulnerable groups. It will be allocated to the relief programs under Aswasuma benefit scheme.
3 new High Commissioners and 7 ambassadors handed over their credentials to President Ranil Wickremesinghe today at the President's house in Kandy. Dr. Roger Gopal handed over his credentials as the High Commissioner to Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. High Commissioner to Uganda is Professor Joyce K. Kikofenda. Lalatina Akush handed over her credentials as the High Commissioner to Republic of Seychelles. Eligio Alberto Salas de Leon is the new Ambassador of Republic of Panama.
Ambassador designate of the Kingdom of Belgium.
New Ambassador to Kingdom of Belgium is Didier van der Hasselt. Dimitros Iannou has been appointed as the Ambassador to Hellenic Republic. Dr. Bassam Al-Khatib is the Ambassador for Syria.
President of the Democratic Socialist Republic.
Javier Manuel Poliching Weldad hand over credentials as the Ambassador to the Republic of Peru. Istvan Sabo is the Ambassador of Hungary. Lee Myon handed over her credentials to the President as the new Ambassador to South Korea.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena stresses that all public servants should work to fulfill the targets of the public service and to safeguard the dignity and discipline. The Prime Minister points out that only the disciplined societies have achieved development goals in the world. The Premier added that whenever a country loses discipline, the country and the society will be deteriorated. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena made these remarks at a ceremony held to distribute permanent appointments to a group of development assistants who have completed pre-educational training period at the Department of Multi-Purpose Development Task Force. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that public service is the major service made for the general public. Therefore, all public servants should work together to achieve the goals while upholding its dignity and discipline. Public servants are committed to serve the people throughout the island.
A special diplomatic visitor came to the newsroom of Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation this morning to appreciate the role of SLRC journalists. US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung arrived in the newsroom to record a special announcement to mark the US National Day. She also engaged in an observation tour in the News and Current Affairs Division. She also had a mutual discussion with the staff of the News Division.
It's not just a job. You are doing a great duty, a patriotic duty for your country.
She appreciated the national television for its role to enlighten the public.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here to see this newsroom and all the people behind the news working so hard. The journalists, the technical people, the cameraman, everybody who makes news come alive to the people of Sri Lanka. And being able to film my message for the 4th of July to be broadcast, I really appreciate that opportunity, but also underscore the importance of journalism in Sri Lanka and the important responsibility you have to educate and to inform everybody here. So really impressed with the whole newsroom, the teamwork, and thank you so much for having me here today.
Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit proposes to appoint a commission to monitor estate workers, and power should be vested to this commission to solve the problems of estate workers. The Archbishop made these remarks at a media briefing held in Colombo today to mark the bicentennial anniversary of the estate community in Sri Lanka. The media discussion was titled as Towards Dignified Citizenship for Estate Community. Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit said that there is not enough space in line rooms, no proper supply of electricity and sanitary facilities. They have many problems, including education for their children, building up good future for them and many others. This system is wrong. Providing certain amounts of houses and constructing roads are not enough. There should be a system for them to live in dignity. The society should respect them as a set of people who contribute to the country's national economy. Therefore, my proposal is to appoint a commission to monitor the living standards of estate workers. The commission should be empowered to solve the problems faced by members of the estate community.
මේ වතුකම් කරුවන් පිළිබඳව අධීක්ෂණයක් කරන්නට කොමිෂන් සභාවක් වගේ එකක්.
Today is the 12th day of the annual Asala festival of the historic Ruhunu Katharagama.
Ruhunu Katharagama 2023 official media sponsor Gazette Rupavahini. Today is the 12th day of the annual Asala festival of Ruhunu Katharagama Devalaya. Kadavarayak Kankarya is performed today to call for blessings. This is done under the guidance of the Mahathayars of Sri Abhinavaram and Katharagama Kiribhera, as well as the Honorable Basnayaka Nilame. And it is headed by President Secretary Mr. Samaneka Nayaka and native tribal leader Uruvarge Vanilatto. And tonight's procession parades the streets with exquisite traditional and cultural dance performances, along with extravagantly dressed tuskers and elephants. And furthermore, fireworking is going to be performed the dawn of tomorrow at Ruhunu Katharagama Mahadevalaya. So we'll be back with more updates tomorrow. I'm Amavi Biswa Bandara for Rupavahini News at Ruhunu Katharagama Devalaya premises.
In the meantime, today is the 8th day of the Kanda Sirindu Vandana Batipuda Hasarasa program.
ප්‍රධාන අනුග්‍රහය රටක් පුබුදන රයිගම් දෙවැනි එක 100% සහල් නූඩල්ස් කදිර දිව්‍ය රාජ චිත්‍රපටය අගෝස්තු 3 වනදා සිට දිවයින පුරා සිනමා හල්වල.
Sri Lanka Air Force Air Marshal Udeni Rajapaksa assumed duties in his post today at a ceremonial guard of honour held at the Air Force headquarters. The new commander was welcomed at the Air Force headquarters by the senior officials. Air Marshal Udeni Rajapaksa is an old boy of Bandarawatha Parakrama Vidyalaya, Bandaranayaka Vidyalaya in Ganpa and another college in Colombo. He obtained an engineering degree in 1988 from the Sir John Kotalawala Defence University. He started his career at the Sri Lanka Air Force as a pilot. He has developed an outstanding experience in flying modern aircraft such as Fukara, Y-12, Avro, Antonov 32. He has completed over 7,000 flying hours. In 1997, when his aircraft was attacked by the enemy, he managed to save his life using emergency tactics. He was also awarded with War Hero medals and awards in many major operations against terrorists. The outgoing commander of the Air Force, Air Chief Marshal Sudarshana Pathirana, handed over the official baton of the Air Force Commander at the Air Force Commander's office.
The President instructed all divisional secretariats to implement the Aswasama Social Security Benefit Program, ensuring that no one is unjustly treated or left behind. Directives have been issued to adhere to the government's decisions, further emphasizing the commitment to uphold transparency and equity. Following a comprehensive survey, a total of 3.3 million applications out of 3.7 million have been selected for the program. Out of the selected applicants, a list comprising of 2 million names has been released to the public, designating them as eligible beneficiaries pending appeals and objections. For individuals who believe they qualify for the Aswasama welfare scheme but not mentioned on the published list, a window of opportunity has been provided to file appeals until July 10th. Furthermore, if any details of individuals who should not receive social welfare benefits are identified in the public list, a mechanism for anonymous complaints has also been established. Annual opportunity is extended to individuals who are unable to register for the Aswasama Social Welfare Benefit Program, as well as those who wish to join the program anew.
In the meantime, Minister Nimal Siripala De Silva says that there is a risk of losing the jobs of about 6,000 employees at the Sri Lankan Airlines unless the entity is restructured without delay. At a media briefing held in President's Media Division today, the minister said that it is unfair to waste tax money on the public to maintain the loss-making Sri Lankan Airlines further. Minister Nimal Siripala De Silva said that the company is under debt of $1.2 billion at present. The airlines had to pay $180 million for the aircraft purchased under leasing system. It has $80 million to be paid as arrears. The Sri Lankan Airlines is also indebted to many state entities such as Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank, CPETCO, Civil Aviation Services Private Limited and Sri Lanka Civil Aviation Services Authority. This service cannot be further maintained under huge amount of debts. Therefore, the government has decided to restructure the service with the support of private investor.
A planned program has been devised by President Ranil Wickremesinghe to address the issues faced by fishermen, said the Minister of Fisheries Douglas Devananda, under the theme of collective path to a stable country. Minister Devananda made these remarks during a press briefing held at the Presidential Media Centre yesterday. The minister emphasized the notable progress observed in all sectors of the country since President Ranil Wickremesinghe assumed office. He further highlighted that a comprehensive program is currently being implemented to resolve the challenges encountered by fishermen. The objective is to enhance the fishing industry and make necessary amendments to existing laws that align with future requirements. Minister Devananda added that a draft containing new legislation will be presented to the Cabinet before the year's end. Addressing the issue of Indian fishermen engaging in illegal fishing activities within Sri Lankan waters, the minister expressed concern over the adverse impact on the marine resources and the livelihood of local fishermen. He expressed hope that this matter will receive attention during the President's forthcoming visit to India.
A special gazette has been issued extending the validity period of temporary driving licenses. Accordingly, validity of the driving licenses has been extended for 2 years. The validity period of the temporary driving licenses issued during the period from March 31st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023 has been extended. Accordingly, the temporary driving licenses have been extended for 2 years from the date of expiry as per the Gazette. More than 800,000 have obtained temporary driving licenses thus far. The fifth round of Sri Lanka-Romania bilateral political consultations was successfully concluded recently at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Colombo. The consultations were co-chaired by State Minister Tariff and Romanian State Secretary Traian Aristri. Sri Lanka and Romania identified new avenues for increased institutional cooperation in many sectors including labour, trade and investment and education. The Romanian side also indicated their interest in exploring the possibility of entering into a partnership in ports cooperation, particularly in the logistics sector. Strengthening the bilateral relationship and partnership in the labour sector was one of the main areas of discussion. Visit of State Secretary Ristri is the first visit to Colombo by a high-level official of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Romania in the last 34 years. In the meantime, we've got more local stories in brief right now. International Dental Conference organised by Sri Lanka Dentists Association was kicked off at the BMICH premises yesterday. It has been organised to mark the 90th anniversary of the Dentist Association. The anti-drugs unit of the Excise Department managed to seize a stock of foreign cigarettes from Helpstorf area worth of 2.5 million rupees. The stock has been brought to the country to be sold during the Hajj festive season. Gampa District Coordination Committee met this morning at the Gampa District Secretariat under the patronage of Minister Prasanna Ranatunga. His aim of the committee was to review the progress of the development projects implemented in the Gampa district. The final centenary celebration of the St. Peter's College in Colombo was held today under the patronage of His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit. The Cardinal invoked blessings to the statue of the St. Peter's and the college. Well, that's it on local stories. We'll be back with news overseas. Still stay tuned in.
මානුවර පොත් දැක්ම 2023 ජූලි 26 සිට ජූලි 2 වෙනිදා දක්වා පෙරවරු 9 සිට පස්වරු 7 තෙක් කැන්ඩි සිටි සෙන්ටර්ෙහිදී සංවිධානය ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොත් ප්‍රකාශකයින්ගේ සංගමය.
Welcome back. We move on to news overseas now. Widespread rioting continued in the streets of France for a third night amid anger over the fatal police shooting of a 17-year-old.
Protesters erected barricades, set buildings and cars ablaze, threw fireworks at riot police and ransacked stores. Police stations, schools and town halls were among the buildings targeted. Riot police used tear gas, water cannons and non-lethal dispersion grenades to fend off violent groups. At least 875 people were arrested nationwide last night as curfews were in place in multiple cities. About half of the arrests were reportedly made in the Paris region alone. French President Emmanuel Macron held another crisis meeting with ministers after calling the protest violence unjustifiable. The unrest began on last Thursday after police shot dead a 17-year-old boy of Algerian descent named as Nahel M. as he drove away from a traffic stop. The officer who shot Nahel has apologized to the family. He has been charged with voluntary homicide and his lawyer says he is devastated. The teen's death has revived grievances about policing and racial profiling in France's suburbs. The International Monetary Fund has reached a staff level pact with Pakistan on $3 billion in short-term financial assistance. The decision was long awaited by Pakistan, which is teetering on a brink of default. The deal, subject to approval by the IMF board in July, came hours before the current agreement with the IMF expires later today. Although essentially a bridge loan, it offers much respite to Pakistan, which is battling an acute battle of payment crisis and falling foreign exchange reserves. Standby arrangement will enable Pakistan to achieve economic stability and put the country on the path of sustainable economic growth, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said. With sky-high inflation and foreign exchange reserves barely enough to cover 1 month of controlled imports, analysts say Pakistan's economic crisis could have not spiraled into a default in the absence of an IMF deal. The $3 billion funding spread over 9 months is higher than expected, as it expects to replace the remaining $2.5 billion from a $6.5 billion extended fund facility. Long-term bailout package agreed in 2019, which expires today.
The US Supreme Court has ruled that race can no longer be considered as a factor in university admissions. The landmark ruling upends decades-old US policies on so-called affirmative action, also known as positive discrimination. It is one of the most contentious issues in US education. Affirmative action first made its way into policy in the 1960s and has been defended as a measure to increase diversity. US President Joe Biden said he strongly disagreed with the much-anticipated decision. The court's conservative majority overturned admissions plans at Harvard and the University of North Carolina.
An era of tropical forest the size of Switzerland was lost last year as tree losses surged, according to new research. Accordingly, around 11 football pitches of forest were lost every minute in 2022, with Brazil dominating the destruction. But a sharp reduction in forest lost in Indonesia shows that reversing this trend is achievable. At the COP26 climate meeting in 2021, over 100 world leaders signed the Glasgow Declaration of Forests, committed to work collectively to halt and reverse forest loss and land degradation by 2030. However, a new analysis carried out by Global Forest Watch shows that the new promise made in Glasgow has not been kept. Losses of tropical primary forests are seen as particularly critical for global warming and biodiversity. Rainforests in Brazil, Democratic Republic of Congo and Indonesia absorb huge amounts of greenhouse gases. Accordingly to the new data, the tropics lost 10% more primary rainforests in 2022 than in 2021. This released an amount of carbon dioxide equivalent to the annual fossil fuel emissions of India.
And moving on to sports news now, Sri Lanka managed to clinch a slim victory in their first match played in the Super 6 stage of the ICC Cricket World Cup qualifier. The match was played against the Netherlands in Bulawayo today.
Winning the toss, Sri Lanka opted to bat first. The first 4 wickets of the Sri Lankan innings were lost for a score of 34 runs. Dimuth Karunaratne scored 33 runs. Dhananjay De Silva and Mahesh Theekshana built a partnership of 77 runs for the 8th wicket, bringing stability to the Sri Lankan scorecard. Dhananjay De Silva scored 93 runs while Mahesh Theekshana scored 28. Accordingly, Sri Lanka put up a total of 213 runs for their innings.
Out. An important wicket, a slower ball there from Deleda. Theekshana giving himself a little bit of room, but he was done by the last
have 3 overs.
Out. De Silva goes. He was looking for...
After putting up a tremendous effort to chase down the target of 214 runs, Netherlands only managed to gather 192 runs. Captain Scott Edwards scored 67 runs. Mahesh Theekshana picked up 3 wickets for Sri Lanka. Accordingly, Sri Lanka won the match by 21 runs. Dhananjay De Silva was named man of the match.
And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have yourself a pleasant night together with Prashant. I'm Sharifa, wishing you a very pleasant night.
4 தசாப்த காலமாக நாட்டிலே லட்சாதிபதிகளையும் கோடீஸ்வரர்களையும் உருவாக்கும் நாம் இன்றைய நாளிலும் உங்களை ஒரு லட்சாதிபதியாக கோடீஸ்வரராக அதிர்ஷ்டசாலியாக உருவாக்குவதற்காக உங்களை சந்தித்திருக்கின்றோம். இது உங்கள் அபிமானத்திற்குரிய டிஎல்பியின் லாட்டரி ஷோ. டிஎல்பி லாட்டரி ஷோவினை தொடரும் நீங்கள் நன்கு அறிந்த விடயம்தான், உங்களுக்காக நாங்கள் எப்பொழுதுமே அதிகரித்த அதிர்ஷ்ட வாய்ப்புகளை ஏற்படுத்தி தருவோம். அதிகரித்த அதிர்ஷ்ட வாய்ப்புகள் இருக்கும் நேரத்தில் நீங்கள் செய்ய வேண்டியது அதிக எண்ணிக்கையிலான லொத்த டிக்கெட்டுகளை கொள்வனவு செய்துதான். 50 அல்லது 50க்கு மேற்பட்ட எண்ணிக்கையிலான லொத்த டிக்கெட்டுகளை நீங்கள் கொள்வனவு செய்ய விரும்பினால் அவற்றை நீங்கள் இருக்கும் இடத்திற்கே கொண்டு வந்து தருவதற்கு நாங்கள் ஏற்பாடுகளை மேற்கொண்டிருக்கின்றோம். நீங்கள் அறிந்த விடயம்தான், வார நாட்களில் அலுவலக நேரங்களில் இந்த தொலைபேசி இலக்கங்களுக்கு அழைப்பினை ஏற்படுத்தி நீங்கள் இருக்கும் இடத்திற்கே லொத்த டிக்கெட்டுகளை வரவழைத்துக் கொள்ளுங்கள். தொலைபேசி இலக்கங்களை ஞாபகப்படுத்துகின்றேன். 0114 062 002 0114 062 065 0114 824 801 இறுதியாக 0114 824 802. இருந்த இடத்திலிருந்தே லொத்த டிக்கெட்டுகளை கொள்வனவு செய்வது போலவே இருந்த இடத்தில் இருந்து கொண்டே எங்களுடைய சீட்டிழப்பு பெறுபேறுகளை நீங்கள் அறிந்து கொள்ள முடியும். அதற்கு இலகுவான வழிமுறை தான் டிஎல்பி லாட்டரி ரிசால்ட்ஸ் எனும் ஃபேஸ்புக் பக்கத்தினை லைக் செய்து தொடர்வதன் மூலமாக எங்களுடைய அதிர்ஷ்ட பெறுபேறுகளை நீங்கள் உடனுக்குடன் அறிந்து கொள்ளலாம். இது மாத்திரமன்றி நீங்கள் செய்ய வேண்டிய மிகவும் முக்கியமான காரியம் ஒன்று இருக்கின்றது. எத்தனை எண்ணிக்கையில் லொத்த டிக்கெட்டுகளை கொள்வனவு செய்தாலும் அந்த லொத்த டிக்கெட்டின் பின்புறத்தில் உங்களுடைய பெயர் மற்றும் தேசிய அடையாள அட்டை இலக்கத்தினை குறித்து வைத்துக் கொள்ளுங்கள். உங்களுடைய அடையாளத்தினை உறுதிப்படுத்துவதற்கு இது பெரிதும் கை கொடுக்கும். இன்று ஜூன் மாதம் 30ஆம் தேதி இன்றைய நாளுக்குரிய 6 சீட்டிழப்புகள் தேசிய தொலைக்காட்சியின் 1ஆம் இலக்க கலையகத்திலே நடுவர் மூவரின் மேற்பார்வையின் கீழ் சீட்டிழுக்கப்பட்டு ஒளிப்பதிவு செய்யப்பட்டிருந்தது. இந்த சீட்டிழப்புகளை ஒரே பார்வையில் ஒன்றின் பின் ஒன்றாக இப்பொழுது பார்க்க போகின்றோம். ஆரம்பமாகிறது இது உங்கள் அபிமானத்திற்குரிய டிஎல்பி லாட்டரி ஷோ. இன்றைய சீட்டிழப்புகளுக்கு நடுவர்களாக கடமையாற்றியவர்கள் பிரதமர் பாதுகாப்பு பிரிவின் பணிப்பாளர் சிரேஷ்ட போலீஸ் அத்தியட்சகர் திரு WS பிரியங்கர டி சில்வா, நீர்வளங்கள் மற்றும் தோட்ட உட்கட்டமைப்பு வசதிகள் அபிவிருத்தி அமைச்சின் உதவி பணிப்பாளர் திருமதி LG பிரியாந்தி டி சில்வா, தேசிய கணக்காய்வு அலுவலகத்தின் கணக்காய்வு உத்தியோகத்தர் செல்வி WMDK வீரபாகு.
தினம்தோறும் உங்களுக்கு கோடீஸ்வரர் வரத்தை அள்ளி வழங்கும் மற்றும் ஒரு கோடிபதி சீட்டிழப்பில் உங்கள் அனைவரையும் சந்திப்பதில் மிக்க மகிழ்ச்சி. இன்றைய தினம் நாங்கள் உங்களை சந்திக்க வந்திருக்கும் வெற்றிகரமான சீட்டிழப்பு வாரம் 1961வது சீட்டிழப்பு வாரம். இன்றைய தினம் கோடிபதி மூலமாக நீங்கள் வெல்ல போகும் சூப்பர் பரிசை அடுத்ததாக நாம் பார்க்கலாம். 5,45,13,188 ரூபாய். அது மாத்திரமல்ல 10 லட்சம் ரூபாய், 1 லட்சம் ரூபாய் என ஏராளமான இதர பணப்பரிசுகளை வெல்லக்கூடிய வாய்ப்பு இன்றைய தினமும் உங்களுக்காக காத்திருக்கிறது. அப்படியானால் தாமதமின்றி சீட்டிழுப்புக்கு செல்லலாம். தேசிய தொலைக்காட்சியில் கலையகம் ஒன்றில் நடுவர்களின் மேற்பார்வையில் சீட்டிழுக்கப்பட்டு ஒளிப்பதிவு செய்யப்பட்ட இன்றைய சீட்டிழுப்பின் வெற்றிலக்கங்களை பார்ப்போம். முதலாவது வெற்றிலக்கமாக 24 தெரிவாகி இருக்கிறது. அடுத்ததாக 2வது வெற்றிலக்கத்தை இப்பொழுது நாம் பார்க்கலாம்.